The iconography and the archetype of the Jaguar was used by royal lines, it was used by military, and it was used by the demons of hell of Xibalba. Today we're going to learn more about the Jaguar, its magical and aspects of myth. Thank you so much for coming to Mesoamerica, your place for Mesoamerican occult study, magic and myth. Thank you very much, and let's go. Now, the archetype of powerful animals has been used by very, very powerful nations throughout history and throughout time. To this day, many national seals still have an eagle. Some of them, very few, still have a lion. But this type of archetype to use as a form of, to inflict fear or to show power or to show a certain type of symbol was used by everybody. It was used by the Babylonians with the use of the eagle. It was used also by the Babylonians with the use of kind of like a lion or some type of panther. And also was used by the Egyptians with the hawk, with the god Horus. And in this case, all of Mesoamerica also use this type of iconography. I cannot speak maybe for Peru. I don't know that much about Peruvians and the Inca Empire or Peruvian empires. But I do know that all the way from Honduras, all the way here to North America, the iconography of certain animals and its archetype was heavily used as a form of insignia to try to inflict fear or to try to show power for their particular symbol. For example, there have been some thrones in the Maya region. I'm talking particularly in Chichen Itza. There is a red throne in the shape of a jaguar that was supposed to symbolize something. We don't really quite know exactly where it was placed in Chichen Itza, but we do know that it was within the central region, which was where most of royalty and government officials resided. And so we do know that the royals definitely did use this throne. So the details as to how did they use it, we don't know. We do see the Jaguar in the origin myths in the demons of Xibalba. Xibalba was the place for the underworld in the Popol Vuh. And the Popol Vuh, we can find the Jaguar in the third place of the House of Black Smoke. And also, coincidentally, this Jaguar finds its place up in the calendar. Like a lot of the iconography and symbolism of the Popol Vuh finds its way in either the Aztec calendar or the Maya calendar. It seems that those origin stories were somehow associated, even though we don't have a lot of corroboration or documentation to compare one or the other, but there seems to be a lot of commonalities. So even though the Popol Vuh was invoked by the Maya Quiche, it is kind of obvious that it somehow influenced the Aztecs. And then the Aztecs took the iconography of the Jaguar to their own uses, shall we say. But they kind of twisted it or just used other types of symbolism to try to make it work for them. For example, the Jaguar was a creature of hell. Like I said, for the Maya, it was one of the demonic legions, and it was also correspondent to the gods of the north for the Aztec calendar. And the Aztecs utilized this iconography and archetype in one of their most ferocious military units. This is the Jaguar Knights. The Jaguar Knights was the cult of the Jaguar demons. It was their elite military unit. There were two elite military units for the Aztec. There were the Jaguar Knights and there were the Eagle Knights. We know more about the Jaguar Knights because the Spanish really hated them. They were really afraid of them, and there was no way that they could ever fight against them on a hand-to-hand combat. The only way they were able to defeat them was by taking away their Jaguar Knights. They took away their weapons, and by taking away their weapons, they were able to kill them just as men and not as knights. Now, becoming a Jaguar Knight was a very beautiful process, because back in those days and all kingdoms, loyal lines remained within royal lines, and poor people remained with poor people, but not the Jaguar Knights. Anybody could become a Jaguar Knight. It was very difficult because, since being an elite military unit, they had to be very well versed on certain things like strategy, weapons, food and water, having to, I don't know, in Spanish we call it abastecimiento, kind of like placement of resources. They had to be very well in geography because of this, so they had to know where to find food, where to find water. Also, they were very versed in sometimes astrology, for them to be able to read the sky, to know where they were going to go and how they were going to get placed. The Jaguar Knights were an elite force. They didn't have horses, they didn't have cars or trucks, so they were a very different type of breed than what the military forces that we know today. And they used the Jaguar Knight because the patron god was Tezcatlipoca. If you watch some of my previous videos, the god Tezcatlipoca is the god of darkness, the god of stealth, and also is a very powerful god. It's amongst one of the most powerful gods. I wouldn't equate it to Satan, shall we say, because Satan's not supposed to be as powerful as God, because our theology is very different from theirs. But the god Tezcatlipoca was certainly one of the most powerful gods, and he reigned supreme at night, and he reigned supreme on certain dates. And the Jaguar was supposed to be one of its companions or one of its vassal servants. And as a result, the Jaguar was feared by all the vassal states under the Aztec Empire and beyond, because the Jaguar Knights, they were not fooling around. They were really good at what they did, and they killed, but not very much, because they felt that it was clumsy to kill. Instead, they took hostages. There were great honors assigned to the warriors that were able to have the more captives. But the Jaguar Knights certainly were one of the primary sources of captives all over the Aztec vassal regions. I know in the movie Apocalypto, we have some people that have barely any clothes and they're wearing bones and they capture a bunch of people. That's not the way it worked. The Aztecs had some very beautiful dresses. They had to all wear the same thing. What they dressed and the shields that they wore were indicative of their rank, and they were also indicative of their position in the universe. But the Cuauhoceotl, the Jaguars, were not only used for military or for government purposes. The Cuauhoceotl was also used by the Nahuales. And the Nahual is kind of like, a translation would be kind of like a sorcerer, but not really, because there can be non-humans, Nahuales, which will be kind of like the equivalent to what we term now as familiars. And so we have a lot of indication of what happened. For example, let's go back to the military unit. For the Jaguar Knights, before they went to war, or before they went on an excursion or on an expedition, there had to be a magical ritual done for them to try to wish them the objective that they set out to accomplish. Let's say, for example, if they wanted to defeat a certain army, then therefore the Nahuales, or the magician that was assigned to the priesthood of the House of the Jaguars, he gave an incantation and reached out to the familiars of the Jaguars to try to wish them a successful battle or a successful expedition or whatever it is that they wanted to accomplish. The Jaguar Knights were not only warriors, but they also went on expeditions to either find new resources or to try to find other people, or etc. They had many different uses for the king. And of course, the king was the god, who also controlled the light and the dark. But the other uses for the Jaguar have been sometimes delineated in certain writings, in certain buildings, and they have also kind of been used in certain vases. So we're able to get a little bit of archaeological evidence as to what were the uses of the Jaguar. But of course, we can narrow it down by cardinal point, shall we say, kind of an element. And so, since the Jaguar, the Cuauhoceotl, belonged to the House of the North, it had its particular day in the Aztec calendar, and it had certain magical attributes because it landed on that particular day. And it also was a time and a place to make a petition to the Jaguar for certain things. For example, if someone is struggling with a certain type of disease, where the disease, for example, is making them blind, a petition could be made to the Jaguar to try to help them find light in the darkness. It's kind of like a bribe. A lot of this is like a bribe. So you make an offering, and so you're bribing the deities or the Nawal of the Jaguar, or even the demons, Jaguars, the Jaguar demons, to somehow try to help you get a particular wish that you want to accomplish, or you want somebody else to accomplish. Since the Jaguar was such a vastly used archetype, it was, and also deity, therefore there were many Jaguar or Cuauhoceotl Nawales, which is kind of like a Jaguar priest. And so there were many Jaguar priests that were not only dedicated for matters of military purposes, but they're also dedicated for either sicknesses or certain type of malady or certain type of wishes, or even sometimes clairvoyance. And so therefore we are just barely touching the surface on the Cuauhoceotl. If you are more interested as to what what the purposes of the Cuauhoceotl, let me know. I can make another video about this. I'm planning to make 2 more series coming up, but the Cuauhoceotl is one that definitely it can go for a while, but I'm not sure if this is something that will interest you guys. Let me know in the comments. I will really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the love that you have been giving to this channel. I appreciate it. See you in the next one. Thank you very much, and have a good one. Bye-bye.